You're listening to the LaRocque Life Podcast, where hosts Michael and Laura explore relationships, adventure, freedom, and just some all-around real and raw conversations. Drawing from their 17 years together with a bit of sarcasm, humor, tears, a few and lots of love. They deep dive into the male and female perspective on relationships and navigate the highs and lows of life together. Sit back, grab your love mug, and let's get into today's conversation.
All right, babe. Episode 43. What are we talking about?
We're going to talk about women don't need men.
Bum, bum, bum.
But with a twist, because that's actually just clickbait. In a way, maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's not the title. I don't know. But some modern feminism and how that's kind of messing up relationships and men.
Yeah.
I guess essentially, like, this is a topic we've been diving into even more over the last few weeks, right? More the modern modern feminism side of it.
Yep.
I mean, we've been doing the feminine and masculine work for a while within ourselves, but we just thought it'd be kind of cool to have a conversation around what modern feminism is doing to our culture, our relationships.
Yeah, well,
right?
It's clear as day. If people can't see it now or they're not connecting those dots, it's kind of scary. It's fucked up. Like, I mean, a lot of these guys, like, I just had a good call today on our men's group, and yeah, man, like, it just, guys don't know what to do anymore.
Yeah.
What are we doing? And it's like, holy fuck, boys, let's grab our nuts and we gotta get back on this too, right? And it's tough. It really is. And I understand where women are coming from with that.
Yeah.
I do get that. I'm not ignorant to that, but we have to fall back in our roles, and we've been doing such a good job of that in our own relationship.
Yeah.
And again, it's not all rainbows and butterflies by any means, but I feel like we're finding those lanes, and it's working.
Life just is getting so much easier. Like, life isn't, but the way we can maneuver it is. And this conversation is likely to trigger some people, for sure, right?
Oh yeah, it's gonna piss some people off, which is good. That's what this is for, and we want some back and forth, and we need that, and not criticism, because that's the easy answer, and that's where I do that at work sometimes. It's like, I work with a lot of people, and I'm in a different domain now in the office side of things, in the boardroom side of things, where people are they can be elegant assholes, I guess would be the word. Whereas where you're on the streets, or you're on the work or like on a job site, and you just be like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. And then it goes to wherever it goes, right? But these guys can manipulate and twist words and still like sit there and smile at you, but just be the biggest asshole in the world. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I get that. And that's where, so it's back and forth. It needs to be, as long as it's respectful, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
Like, you mean for people to
like any
comments,
and like triggering people, or just not even with us, but in general, right? And having these conversations even with your partner. It's fine, you don't have to agree, but just be respectful about it.
Well, and I also think, like, if you don't agree, you don't have to, and we're not here to change your mind. This is our own thoughts and opinions and our own observations and experience from our relationship, right? From doing it the hard way to doing what we know now. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, in my own experience of myself, and you know this, and my clients know this, when we're triggered, there's something there that's a charge. There's an energetic charge there that is causing us to, have something to look at within ourselves. Because if you listen to this conversation and you weren't triggered, you wouldn't care. Like, if you were just like, I'm really cool with where I'm at and what I'm doing, and it's working for me and I'm happy, we wouldn't trigger you. Right. Because you'd just be like, yeah, cool. Carry on, guys. Like, I don't really agree with your conversation, but awesome. But when people like get really mad and angry and they're like, this is stupid, and then want to call out like in a rude way, right? Not a constructive way.
Yep.
There's usually something that is triggering within you. So my response is always, instead of lashing out, just take a few moments and go inwards and, look at why you're triggered. I do that all the time, because when I get triggered by things, my initial reaction is like, oh, I'm mad at them, or like, that's so stupid.
Right.
But, well, it used to be. And now I'm like, okay, I'm mad, but why did that person make me mad? What is it about myself that, like, what made me mad about what they said, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I always learn something about myself
I know
when I do that.
That's kind of the tough thing about what we do now, or like where we're at. I think it's so much easier, and we talk about this, like even in our own arguments, where it's so much easier to just be like, you're wrong, and then walk off and just be whatever you're going to be, instead of obviously looking deep and you're like, fuck, what's this triggering inside me? Like, what do I got to do, and face that and deal with it?
It's inviting you to just take a look at maybe a different perspective, right? And it's hard. I get it. It's hard. Like when you believe something and it's right, because I believe things that are right for me, right?
Oh, yeah.
And when someone, has a differing opinion, it is a tough pill to swallow. But at the same time, I've come to a place where I don't need to convince them and they don't need to convince me. So it's like, cool. Let's carry on, right?
No, 100%. Yeah. Agree to disagree and carry on. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But when there's a charge, when I'm like mad, I'm like, okay, there's something here.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So I did a masterclass last year, and I shared in there kind of how modern feminism has really confused men. And ever since then, we've gone deeper into, and especially, like I said, these last few weeks, I didn't realize like how confused men were by it.
They're
But we've been following this one woman on YouTube and just listening to some of her different topics. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I agree with a lot of what she's saying. And I see that in my work, and I see that in people, and I see that, in our own relationship as well at times.
Yep.
But reading her comments, like there are thousands of men in her comment section, like cheering her on and being like, yeah, I gave up on women like tons, like years ago, right? And women don't need us anymore. So screw you, women. And it's like feminism took them in a way different direction, and they don't need men. And now men are just like going their own way, right?
Well, it is. And it's so fucked up that we are like men are, because you can, like, I mean, with porn, you don't need women. I mean, there's the leaps and bounds in sex dolls that they're making is like literally like $10,000.
How do you know this?
It's research for work, but no, like 10 grand can get you the most realistic sex doll ever. So you have that. And then, I mean, video games to numb out.
People really do that?
Oh, fuck, man. There's people, people are marrying their sex dolls, like legitimately marrying them. I don't know how.
That's just not a weird TLC TV show or something. Is there even TLC anymore? I don't know. I don't watch TV.
I don't know. I'm sure there is. And I'm sure there is a show about it, but they're doing that. And I mean, like numbing out to video games, numbing out to, well, you don't need any of that. And I mean, like you don't need a woman to, this is going to be like 50s, but you don't need a woman to cook. You fucking skip the dishes, whatever.
Yeah.
Got it at your door. Like cleaning services, like all this stuff, right? Like you don't, like women don't need men, but men don't need fucking women at all, right? And it's not a good thing, because they're going against everything that we're wired for.
Yeah.
And it's not, like we're not helping ourselves at all. People are bitching and moaning like world's changing, but this is all happening, and no one's having kids, and women are so far like, into their careers that by the time they stop and look back, they're like, oh shit, it's too late. And now we're gonna be extinct, to be honest. Like, I mean, it's working its way to that point. Like, I mean, I can't remember what the stat is. It's like 1 point something kids are being like with most relationships now, and you need 2.3 or something like that to actually keep us sustained.
When you say us, who do you mean us?
Sorry, like as a human race, and definitely in the Western culture. So more,
yeah, it was like I thought that
like Middle East and East Indians and stuff are having kids that, like, they're still popping out whatever 6, 7, 8 kids, but in North American, it's like like 1 to 2 kids.
But how does that work? Because I thought we're overpopulated according to whatever belief system you have.
Yeah, definitely not in the West, not in our Western world anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. That's a whole nother, like, they're like right. East Indians and stuff are going to take over, and that's fair. So.
Yeah.
But again, that's a topic for a different show.
Yeah. Yeah. You do talk about that kind of stuff. That one might be really,
talk about triggering people, piss everyone off all at once.
Yeah. So I want to go back because, okay, so a few years ago, I didn't even I want to get clear on what we're talking about for modern feminism because, a few years back, one of my friends had said to me when I was starting to coach women, and it was like, to tap into our power, right? Which sounds so silly, but, and just like we are powerful beings, right? But that's what my coaching was. It was like, take back your power. You're really an amazing human being. You can do so much more. You have a potential, right? Like that all sounds very rah.
All these goddess groups.
Tony Robbins. But she was like, so do you think you're a feminist? And I was like, not entirely even sure what feminist even meant back then. Like, I mean, I knew what it meant, but not to the degree of now. And I was like, I don't really know, but I don't really think so. But it depends what definition we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Because when I work with my clients on feminism, it isn't like, rah, I am woman, like, I don't need a man.
I know, I just picture that broad in the fucking bandana with her, like, giving, like, the old whatever with a wrench in her hand or some fucking thing. Like, she's, like, flexing with a...
Oh, yeah, that's a brand of some...
Well, it's something from the war or something like that, I think.
Oh,
it goes back to that, like pinup girl kind of thing.
Yeah,
but,
I totally picture that, but I have no idea what that's even for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so... that is not what I mean when I work with women on tapping into their feminine. In fact, it's quite the opposite. So I could see how I would get caught up with feminism because feminism, the modern feminism, from my understanding, is that this is like the women who do not need men, work in a very masculine way, aren't open to letting these men, and they want to be as powerful as men. And I'm going to go into how and why that happens. But my idea of tapping into your feminine and owning your feminine power is actually quite opposite. And it is in releasing control, surrendering, healing your wounds and your traumas, and opening your heart and allowing people in. Because feminine is very powerful, but not in a trying to be masculine way.
Right.
The feminine power, the feminine energy is so powerful, but it's a radiance. It's like a magnetic field that glows and draws people to us differently. It's about being and attracting and loving and nurturing and healing and all of these things, creating, not go, do, be, right?
Right.
So does that make sense?
100%. And I 100% get that magnetism and that radiance because even when you walk into a room, I sense that, I feel that, I get that. And I feel you're in your feminism, and I feel like you're just radiant when you walk into a room. Like anywhere we are, I can pick you out almost. And it's just like, that's what it is. That's the draw. And I mean, all these women trying to, say we don't need men anymore or get rid of men and all this stuff or we're just as powerful as men. We can do anything a man can do, which is fine. And you can to a point.
They want to be equal to men.
Like they want to be equal to a man and all these things, but it's still, you're not. And it sucks. And it's like, I get it. And women we are equal, but we all have our own jobs and we all have our own position in life.
Different roles.
Yeah.
And that we're powerful in.
Exactly. In our own roles, because women are like, well, we don't need men. We can do everything you can, sports, everything else. Like that's fine. And you can 100%. But a guy can a normal guy can knock out most women. A guy that can't even fight can probably beat the shit out of a woman. Okay, this sounds really bad, but we're not equal. Like it's not.
Yeah, like physiologically, we're not equal.
No, it's not. Like, I mean, there's some strong women out there, 100% and stuff, but it's just, we're not equal. And it's not a bad thing, right? Like,
yeah, I've seen a lot of those guys in these comment sections saying like, women want to be equal, but when it comes to divorce court, that's not equal. When it comes to, the money and the alimony and the custody of the children, that's not equal.
Right.
They want to be equal, but when it comes to, there was something about percentages of deaths on the job, and it was way higher it was higher of men. Like men were more of the gender that was being killed on jobs because they were doing more dangerous jobs, because you see more men out there.
Same with
not to say
suicide
that
rates,
there's
right?
not women, but more men out there in the freezing cold, you know, working on the rigs or doing the mechanical work or doing whatever. And so this like is by no means meant to be sexist at all. This is literally, I mean, we're talking about relationships, and you want to have a deep connected relationships. Having two alphas or two masculine people in a relationship, you're not going to have that passion and that connection and that intimacy that you want. But
it's not there. It doesn't matter what relationship, right? You need that polarity. Like gays, everything. Like two guys, there's still going to be that feminine role. Even lesbians are all like, well, you know, we're equal, blah, blah, blah. And fucking you see any lesbian wedding, there's always one lesbian in a fucking tuxedo kind of dress or tuxedo, and the other girl's the feminine one. Like it's what it is. It really is.
Yeah. And we're talking energy, right? Like it's all about it's that energy that attracted them to each other. So one of them is more in their core feminine or masculine, and the other one is in the opposite, because that's what attracted them to each other in the first place, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So coming back to these men in these comments, I was like, oh, they're making lots of really great points. Because what was the one about jobs? And then, I just thought the one was kind of funny, because it was like, you know, women want to be equal, but then you don't see them out there in the freezing cold, like rain or shine, getting jobs done, right? Which, to be fair, that sounds kind of rude once I say it, because there are women who do that.
But the percentage is small.
Yeah,
exactly. The percentage is small.
But before we dig even deeper into this hole, I want to share, like, there's toxic masculinity. There's, let's not say toxic, wounded masculinity and wounded feminine, right? And both sexes can be operating in both of those.
Right.
Because we both have feminine and masculine energy within us. And both of them can be toxic. And in all likelihood, most of the time, both of them are, unless you're aware of it or came from like a picture perfect Disney fairy tale childhood. You likely are holding on to something. And even at that, you're probably still holding on to something, right? So unless you're starting to look inwards and, you know, take responsibility for who and what you are acting out of some sort of wounded masculine or feminine energy. But kind of the evolution of feminism. I mean, I know people who believe feminism was created as almost a political standpoint, right? You know, to
get women
make
out of
men
the house.
weak. Because what's your favorite saying? We've said this on the podcast many times.
Well, it's Stefan Arnio, and even he said it wasn't him, but it was like, because it was strong men create good times. Good
times create weak men.
Oh, sorry. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create
weak men.
Weak men, and weak men create hard times.
Yes. Okay.
And that's in an 80-year cycle, generally speaking, if you look through history. And it's so true. And right now we're in that weak men are creating hard times. Because we had the strong men that created the good times right after World War II, where all these fucking hard motherfuckers came back and created, like, that was the 50s and 60s, where it was like just like everything seemed to be, you know, falling into place and everyone was quite happy. Like, I shouldn't say happy, but it was flowing, right? And now we got so many men, we just don't know what to fucking do.
Okay, so let me tell the story then, because that fits perfectly with where you're just at. So the kind of like, I don't know if this is the very beginning, but in my studies have found that sort of like the feminism came from, so men went off to the war, right? And when they went off to the war, women who were typically at home in that more feminine role, which doesn't mean it wasn't an empowered feminine. It could have been a very wounded feminine. And the men typically had the more masculine role. And again, could have been very wounded, right? There's still toxic relationships. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it was right, but this is how most relationships were. She stayed home. She took care of the kids. She took care of the house. Like, that was her place. Right. He left the house to go to some sort of job, brought home the money. He was like the authoritative figure, right? And so as men went off to war, women had to leave the home to go and do the men's jobs while they were gone. But also some women went off to war as well, right?
Yeah, they did that.
And so women got a taste of outside of the home, right? And well, we can do this too and want to do this and value that. And that was great, except for the angry women, the wounded women, I'll say, who, you know, wanted to take that as an opportunity to like screw the man, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and so from there on, you've seen this evolution of women who were like, we don't need men. We're just as strong as men. And then they started to act more like men. And you've seen that with going into the 80s with like the women's power suit with the shoulder pads, right? And then the short haircuts. And women thought that in order to compete in the workforce, they needed to be like a man. And rightfully so. I mean, men probably weren't happy about having men coming into having women come into their workspace and taking their roles and taking their jobs.
No,
right?
100%. I get that. Yeah.
But somewhere in there, women lost that connection to their innate power, which is that feminine power I was talking about at the beginning of this podcast.
Well, you're the giver of life, man. Like exactly. That should be any woman that doesn't feel enough or equal or whatever, like think back to like just think that like you
connecting into ancestors.
Yeah, you are the giver of life. Like you are be all ends all. That's why men protect you. That's why we get this innate protection. That's why even women in armies and in war, they don't, like a lot of men don't want women around. They're not in the sense of like I don't want a woman like watching my back or anything, because most guys,
they can't kill her.
No, they can't hurt her, but they won't think right in the heat of the battle, and guys will protect her. Like most guys will do, you know, you're fighting and your buddy like beside you, whatever happens kind of thing. But with guys with women on the battlefield, they'll protect, like just instinctively go to protect her, and then they might leave their post or they might do something out of the ordinary. Okay, yeah. So it's interesting, but it's just it's instincts, right? Like we have to protect the women.
Yeah.
But again, that's okay. Sorry, go on a little bit of a rant. Sorry, you're.
So I think I was about done. Like that was just kind of, you know, where we've gotten to, but it's taken it's just gone so much deeper and deeper and deeper. And I feel like the modern feminist women have like dug themselves into a hole where, you know, they've gotten what they wanted, but they're unhappy. Mm-hmm. Not all of them, I guess. I mean, some of them are still rah, I hate men. I don't need men.
Yeah, but I think that's what keeps them going is the hate.
Yeah.
Like if they actually just sat back and realized what they're doing, I feel like they'd just be like, well, what are we like? They'd just be bored or like, what are we doing?
Yeah. And so I think like the modern feminism is kind of like women can have it all. I can have it all. And that attitude though is almost like I can have it all like on my own. I can do it all on my own. Right. So getting that career, buying that house, doing all of these things, but then not really ever allowing a man in, right? Or there never being a man that's good enough.
Yes, that'd be the right big
one. To partner up with. And I've seen too in those comments, like the comment section, just seeing thousands of men comment opened my eyes like incredibly to how men are feeling about this. Like, because I shared in my masterclass, I remember distinctly saying last year that men are confused. And this is the problem that I see in a lot of the women I coach, that like women have taken on a more masculine role. And my clients aren't necessarily the modern feminists who hate men or, you know, they're in relationship with men, so they want to, but subconsciously they've taken on this more masculine role because this is kind of where, you know, our culture, our society has sort of leaned towards, right?
Yeah.
And so I think subconsciously women are even like being more masculine because men are being more feminine, right? Men, like through this whole like era of modern feminism, men are confused because they're like, well, do I even hold the door open for her? Or am I going to be like...
Or you get your head ripped off for doing that?
Yeah, like, no, I can do that myself, right? Or like, or you're hitting on me. And it's like, men don't know, like, am I allowed to hit on her? Am I allowed to compliment her? Or is that then sexual abuse?
Yeah. Like, everyone's so scared to be like Me Too'd or whatever that no one's going to do fuck all. So now all these women are like, how come the guys aren't hitting on me? Because they're fucking scared to hit on you.
Yeah, they're scared of you.
Yeah.
But, and so, yeah, it's just such a complex and interesting conversation. But yeah, men are confused. Mm-hmm. And this is what I'm finding in my relationship coaching, well, when I work with just women, it's like the women comes, they're like, there's no connection, there's no intimacy, there's no passion. And I don't know how to create that again. And it's like, okay, let's just work together on really honing in like your own stuff, taking responsibility for yourself and tapping back into that feminine energy and allowing him his manhood back, right?
Yeah.
Giving him his manhood back. And as my clients do that and embrace their femininity and give some control and some power back to their man, he doesn't even really know what's going on, right? I'm not working with him.
Right.
But he starts to feel that, right? And she learns how to build him up at the same time in our work together. And so their relationship starts to evolve because they're getting that polarity again. She's in her core feminine because that's where she wants to be. She doesn't want to be in a masculine role all of the time. And yes, there's times in her day where she is in her masculine roles, you know, with the kids, in the house, in the job, whatever.
Yeah.
But when it's time to come home and like be a family unit or be with her partner, learning how to tap into that femininity and to give him his power back. And so I've witnessed that happen with the majority of my clients. And it's funny because we never knew about feminine and masculine energy when we were going through our shift in our relationship 9 years ago.
Yeah.
But this is exactly what happened. We just didn't know it was considered feminine and masculine energy, but it was the exact same thing, right? I was controlling.
Absolutely.
I had everything like planned out to a T. And I don't think I was a modern feminist because I mean, I needed you. I codependently needed you. But at the same time, so yeah, I was like opposite. But codependency, I was still like, I was controlling. And as I tapped into my feminine energy, you were allowed to take your manhood back, right? Feel powerful in our relationship. And now that this is very conscious for us, we talk about this all the time. And it's like, how can I like make you feel more like a man? How can I feel safer? So I tap more into my femininity. And like, we really have embraced these roles now. And there's just like, it's not even about necessarily the connection and the intimacy. That's the great part. But I'm not even talking about sex, like emotional connection and intimacy, right? Like respect for each other, communication. We can like, this is going to sound like super cliche, but like we can talk through our eyes, right? Like we can just look at each other and like we know what we think about a situation or like what we need to do in a situation or how I'm feeling or how you're feeling in a situation, right?
Yeah.
Because, or what I need from you in a situation, right?
Yeah.
So, and we're just very open about talking about that. So it's not about just like, you know, sex. This is about respect, communication, just a whole deeper level. And David Dita talks about the 3 stages of relationships. And the first stage is the old style, which is that 50s relationship, right? Where it was like, we had our roles and, you know, you stayed home, I went to work. But then we came into this 50-50 relationship where that's where we are now, right? Like we split the bills down the middle. Like not we are, but like society, right? Like,
a lot of people are, man. Yeah.
Split the bills. You got your own bank accounts. Like everything is so separate that it's, and you're like roommates. It's literally, you take care of half the chores. I'll do half the chores. Yeah. You make supper this night. I'll make supper that night. And it's great if that works for people. But at the same time, there's that loss of connection and intimacy because there's no polarization in that. You are literally friends. You are literally roommates. And again, nothing wrong if that's what you want. But now the third stage and something he talks about is more I can't remember his exact term anymore, but it's more of like an enlightened relationship where someone in that relationship craves something deeper and then goes off, like, which is kind of the women who come and work with me and starts tapping into their feminine energy and their radiance, right? And their core and invites their partner to come along and then together. And then that's where we're going with Safe and Wild. It's like, okay, now couples who are both ready to work together are here and taking responsibility for themselves, but to grow and evolve together like we've done over the last few years, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Right. And so a lot of people are at that 50-50 spot right now.
Oh, it's almost seemingly what I thought in my mind was like a good relationship.
Yeah. Like that's what you strived for,
we're
right?
equal partners. We're not, we're not, we're not fighting really. We're not doing, but we're not, we're not ripping the fucking bed sheets off either. Like it's just like, it's not there. Right.
Yeah.
But no, absolutely. It's like, oh, perfect. She's paying half the rent. This is awesome. And just whatever. But it's not. You're you're not being a man, she's not being a woman. Like, it's just not there. Like, now that we have these roles in our relationship, it's just fucking massive, and it's awesome, and I love it. And even just our communication with that, we can openly talk about those things, and we know what we need to do.
Yeah.
Or, wow, it's getting better. It's getting better. And every day it's getting better.
Yeah, because it's funny, like when our relationship sucked, I think back to that, and it's like, we each paid like half the rent.
I remember talking about it. I was Jack. She's like, fuck yeah, she's paying rent, like helping out.
Oh yeah, or I paid rent and
you paid rent. I paid all the bills. I paid all the groceries and bills, and you paid rent.
Oh, okay.
And it was like, it was almost like equaling out or whatever it did.
And we had separate bank accounts.
Oh yeah.
And, and we were married at that point, I think.
Well, we were living together, and then that rolled into our marriage. Yeah.
But then I remember I held so much resentment towards you because then you still sat on the couch and watched, sports on a Sunday, but I was doing the laundry, and I was like, how am I working? And we didn't have kids yet, but like, I'm working same as you. I mean, obviously your job wasn't harder than mine. I was a massage therapist. No, you were fucking working hard. My arms were like dead, but, and then you got to sit on the couch and watch TV, and I was doing the laundry,
I was
like
still
walking
doing my
up
role.
and down the stairs, doing the laundry. And I was like, wait a second. But I mean, at that time, I wasn't like, wait a second. At that time, I was just mad. I remember always walking up the stairs, holding the laundry basket, be like, I fucking wish I could just sit on the couch on a Sunday night and watch TV, but who's going to do the laundry kind of thing, right? Yeah. I mean, I learned a lot of good communication skills since then and how to ask for help. But at the same time, now it's like we just have our roles and we know what those roles are. And as maybe, I mean, are we allowed to say pink jobs and blue jobs? Because I think we totally have those. And I don't think there's anything wrong with those because there's jobs that I just don't do. And I don't even want to do them. I don't even want to learn how to do them because that's your job.
Yeah, there's a reason there for though. Like there's a reason those jobs are like that, right? Like that's why they evolved to where we're at.
Yeah.
There's a whole point to that.
And I suppose I'm confident in myself enough to know that, I could figure it out, but
easily.
Why?
Yeah. Oh, 100% you could. Yeah.
Because now too, understanding the roles of feminine and masculine energy, when I ask you for help, I give you power.
Yeah.
Right. I build you up because now you're providing for me and you think, oh, she needs me.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So women, do that to your men. Like ask for help. If you can't open a pickle jar, I mean, even if you can open a pickle jar, ask them to open the pickle jar. Just small, subtle shifts
and then you'll
that,
open
right?
it and you'll do the old dad joke. You loosened it, don't know. Right? Like, I mean, just it's stupid, but it makes you feel good. And it does. It fills that cup up a little more.
Yeah, because this is like, I would say in the relationships, more of the people that I'm talking to and working with, like, he doesn't feel like you need him.
No. Absolutely not. And like women are like, oh, I'm so strong, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, you don't need me. I don't like.
Yeah. So why would I even try? Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. Why would I try? And then when you do try, you're going to get hurt anyway. Or you feel like you're going to get hurt. So you're like, there's no point.
Yeah.
What's the point of trying? And then that's the whole thing now with, thank fuck, we don't have to worry about this, but like the whole point of with dating and trying to find new relationships and stuff like that. It's like, it's just it's too hard on guys' feelings. I mean, I'm sure it goes both ways. I couldn't even fathom trying to be a woman right now, trying to date a guy. Like these are not men out there to. That's just it. It'd be fucking scary. It'd suck. I feel terrible for both parties. Like, I mean, everyone's so confused and it's tough. It really is. And now you just bounce from one to one because it's so easy too, right? With different apps and all the other stuff. It's all so easy.
Instant gratification, right? And
yeah.
Yeah, not like those courting days where.
Oh wow! Fuck, you don't even have to phone obviously with cell phones and everything like that. Like, I always joke with the guys like, you don't have to phone no one even has a landline. You don't have to phone the girl's house when you're in like grade 6 or 7. You're like, hi, is Susie there?
Risk the dad.
Yeah, and then the dad like, who the fuck's it? Why are you calling? What do you need her for? Yeah, like you don't ever have to do that. Ever.
Which I suppose is almost like, so maybe on another episode,
a rite of passage, man.
We should talk about manhood, right? And we should talk about masculinity.
That's a huge rite of passage right there. That one's a big one.
Because just as much as we're like harping on women right now and not needing men, and I think this is a subconscious thing too, because I work with some women who they're not modern day feminists in the way of like, rah, rah, I don't need a man. They're in a relationship with a man, but subconsciously they're not letting their man in, right? They're doing it all.
You're still guarded.
So as much as we're kind of harping on the ladies right now, there is a total, like, there is no masculinity, barely any masculinity.
Oh no, it's
there,
scary,
right?
man. It is fucking scary.
Yeah, and you just reminded me that with that rite of passage, like that is a rite of passage into masculinity or into your manhood in a way of needing to face your girlfriend at the time's dad, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like not, and you're like accountable to someone, like that is someone's daughter. So I'm assuming, I guess I'm not a boy, but.
Well, I don't know. Like, I mean, we like in Meadow Lake, it wasn't really like this whole, it wasn't like the movies or nothing, but I mean, nothing ever is. But 100%, like, have her home by 9 and all this other stuff, right? It's like, fuck, okay. Like, yes, sir.
Yeah, whereas now it's just like, whatever.
Oh, yeah. And like the dad's probably downstairs playing video games. So he's not even, he wouldn't be engaged with it anyway. Like, that's how fucked up we are right now.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, we should do another episode. Let's not talk about that. Let's do another episode maybe next week about masculinity and I guess wounded masculine versus the empowered masculine, which I do feel like men are starting to step into it. But frick, after reading those comments on that video of the thousands of men, they've just given up. They're like, I don't even want a woman anymore.
No, and like I say, it's so easy. I'll have better examples next week of it. But there's people that break it down where it's like video games, porn, food services. There's a couple other ones, and it's like you literally don't need a woman anymore.
So I guess women don't need men and men don't need women.
Exactly.
So what are we doing?
What are we doing, right? And then that's where
the point of life, I guess. Come here, collect stuff.
I guess. I don't know.
Experiences. I don't know. But don't you want someone to have an experience with? I don't know.
I do.
I guess
I know
for
that.
myself, I'm like, I don't really care about stuff and collecting stuff, or, I mean, achieving goals is great, but what's the point if, for myself, I guess I can only speak for myself. What's the point if I don't have someone to experience it with and celebrate it with?
Oh, and just to fucking get through life with, like to just navigate and explore and have fun and go through challenges and lift each other up. And I mean, that's what a relationship is. There's a really good example today, buddy. I'm going to use it a lot, I think, because back in my rock climbing days, I never really rock climbed a lot of mountains, a lot of indoor stuff, but it was perfect analogy where it's, if anyone knows rock climbing, it's you start out and then one person's belaying, like has your safety line, and the next person climbs up, reaches that hook, like you keep getting hooks, and then you hit a landing, then that person will belay from the top while the next person climbs, and they're being like they got you, right?
Their person up.
Yeah, okay. And they got you. So if they fall, like you got them by the rope, and then you can catch them, and then they can get back on the rock and keep going. So then you hit that next level, and then that person belays for you so you can get that next hook, and then you belay for them from the top, and so on and so on. That's how you climb the mountain, right? And that's how relationships are, or they need to be, right? Like we keep, any relationship can be a friendship, can be a romantic relationship, but you just keep
give and a take.
Yeah, and you just keep fucking building yourself up, and you keep building each other up, and then you climb that mountain, whatever that metaphorical mountain is. So it's just, you need that.
Yeah, which if we bring that into feminine and masculine energy, masculine is giving and feminine is receiving. And so there is that give and that take in relationship, because we have both energies within ourselves. So yes, we have core energies, which creates that polarity, but it actually doesn't even matter. Like there may be times in our relationship where I do tap more into my masculine and you're more in your feminine if you're being more vulnerable with me, right? And then 100%. I'm just like listening and holding that space for you.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter. It's just the fact that there is a polarity, whether it's switched roles.
Yep.
But my core energy is definitely feminine and yours is core masculine. So that's what we are in more often. But still, when you shift into being more vulnerable with me, I may shift more into my masculine, but I also may be in my feminine to just like love and nurture and hold. It depends on the situation.
Oh yeah,
right?
we can just gab like a couple girls, but exactly.
But we don't need to have like passionate, crazy sex in that moment. So like that polarity,
it doesn't need to be there because I need you in that feminine. Maybe I do need you in that feminine. I need to be in mine so I can get stuff out.
Yeah.
Because if you're truly in your masculine, like if I'm really like feeling it, I'm not going to sit there and open up, like tell you all my worries and hopes and dreams and all this other shit. I'm like, fuck, we're doing this to get this done. And this is what we're doing. And that's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Right. And that's where I am typically. But if we do open up, or we like in our communication, I mean, even talking the other night, like, we're just like really having a deep conversation about, health and everything that we're doing. And then I mean, you were really hitting you were being extremely vulnerable, like we're, tearing up and stuff. And then like I would share that with you as well. And we're having a great conversation. I was tearing up a little bit too. Right. And that's fine. And that's what we need.
Because we were in a very loving, just listening place. In
a safe space. Right. And we're very open, and we're getting to the root of some stuff, and we're just getting some stuff out and getting it, communicating with each other. So we both knew where we were at. But then I can switch back and be like, and then get back in that masculine to help whatever we have to do to get to that next level in that, or to fix that, or like help solve that problem, or fix that problem, or work on that problem. So it's awesome. It's an awesome dance. And I'm so fortunate that I can do that now.
Yeah. And it's good you say dance, because that's exactly what it is. I think some people get confused, and it's like, well, this is black or white. I'm either feminine or masculine, or, can only be one more in the day. And it's like, no, you can literally dance between them as much as you need to.
I know. I was talking to a guy today who was talking too. He's a dance instructor, and there's dances called switch or the switch or something like that. And even in the dance, in the 5-minute dance, you're switching between leaders, or whoever's taking the lead in the dance.
Okay.
So like you'll lead for 30 seconds, and then the other person leads, or however that works. I don't know. Maybe it's a tune of the song. I don't fucking know.
Right.
But regardless, you're just
you're not a dancer.
We know that. Knees, shoulders. Anyway,
corners.
Yeah, corners. That's what it was. Sorry, inside jokes. Not good for podcasts. Inside jokes. We took dance lessons in London, and it was hip hop dance lessons. Not a hip hop dancer.
The least hip hop people you will ever meet.
Yeah, 2-step like a motherfucker.
Just
but
two hick Canadians in downtown London trying to take hip hop dance lessons. Yeah.
Oh man.
Talk about getting out of your comfort zone.
Fuck, were we ever? Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so it is like you're switching, right? Or he made a really good point too. Like if two men can take dance lessons together, like two men learn to dance together, they'll be the best dancers of a female, because they'll know how to take that lead and really run with that lead. And then that woman can really like sink into that, just fucking go with the flow. And so it's,
wait, what did you say that dance? Two men dancing together would be better than
That's what he is saying. He's like, he said in dance lessons, we usually try to get two men to dance together, like to learn together. And then they take turns, like, do a song, you're the leader, do another song, you're the leader.
They really learn leadership.
If you can lead another man in a dance, it's fucking, and then you get a woman in there, and then she can really fall into that and just go with the flow. You'll be a far better leader. If you can lead a man in a dance, you can lead a woman in a dance even better.
Oh, interesting.
It's extremely, it's like, holy fuck, this is all eye-opening stuff. And it's just great metaphors, right?
Yeah.
So it works. It is. And then even that even puts you in a better place. You have to really put yourself aside if you're going to dance with another man, because right away you'd get like, oh, I'm not gay. I'm not, this ain't me. But if you just go into it, you're like, fuck, who cares, right? You just do it.
If you're, I think like a strong man, right, is comfortable with.
Oh yeah, like right? That's a whole nother thing too. Because we used to in London, like I worked at Gym Box, and like we'd always like fucking around with the boys, like always laughing. And I work with like a lot of gay guys, and they're like upper echelon gays, like big followings on Instagram and party for 4 days straight and all the shit, like crazy stories. These guys were awesome, but it was so funny because like guys would just hate on them and like so homophobic. And I used to ask them all the time, like, what are these fucking guys worried about? You're going to hold them down and give them a blowjob? Like, what are they worried about? And all these guys are like fucking jack bastards too. So
they're so
like, imagine
fit.
Dean, he would fucking, you call him a homo, he'd beat the wheels off you and then, I don't know, kiss you or whatever. Like, it's hilarious. It really is. So.
Yeah. Why are you afraid?
Yeah. Why are you afraid of that?
But again, your own insecurities, right? And your
100%.
own. Yeah. Okay, so let's finish this one off. We'll talk about, you guys, let us know if you like this conversation.
Sorry, it's gone all over the place, but
just bringing it back around to, we talk about this all the time. Like there's a difference between needing a man because we know you're a strong woman and you don't need a man,
mm-hmm.
but there's a difference between that and wanting a man. Right? I don't need you, but I want you.
Yeah.
Right. It has a whole different twist, a whole different energy to it. a whole new surrendering to it, right? Because it's like letting go of control and like getting over myself. I don't need you. I could do this on my own, but I don't want to do this on my own.
No, and it's so much more. It's like the power you get in that, like like the power we have in our relationship. We can fucking do anything. I really feel that, and I truly believe that. I know we can. Like even just like raising kids, life, everything. Like nothing matters anymore. Or nothing matters anymore. Everything matters, but it just. I know we can get through anything, and we just, it's fucking amazing to have that. It really is.
Yeah. So I think like, obviously we were kind of all over the place, but on that topic, but yeah, what did I say at the very beginning? That women don't need men, but I think women want men too. Right. And they want to be wanted, but we could just talk about this forever. So we'll just, I think, cap her off.
No, let's leave it at that.
Talk about it another day.
It's awesome. Well, our Safe and Wild group is going strong, no?
Yeah.
So we're doing that. And then, check out the website, get on the waiting list, because we're gonna fire that back up. We'll take some lessons learned and make it even bigger and better, and just keep it rolling, and just keep this whole movement going. I really truly feel it now, and I want more of it. I want men to be fucking men again, and I want women to feel like women and enjoy that, and like just fall into that. And you don't have to be this strong. You don't have to be this strong lady anymore. You don't have to hold the world on your shoulders. Like just let Buddy fucking have that, and that's his job. And just enjoy yourself and be you and be the person you're supposed to be, right? But yeah, check out the website, LaRocque Life. Get on the waiting list, and and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I love you.
I love you too.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Find us on social media at LaRocque Life Podcast and online at LaRocqueLife.com. Ladies, find Laura on social media at Laura LaRocque and online at LauraLaRocque.com. Have a request for a show topic? We love that. Send us an email at michael@LaRocqueLife.com or DM at LaRocque Life Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review.